Chris here with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to go for a ride. You know, we're going to go see some beautiful scenery as we always do. But I'm going to talk about some of the settings and the electronics that I've found so far that I like, that I've tweaked within this base V4, because I think what sets this apart from the previous version is the electronic suite. And one of the bigger reasons why I went to this instead of keeping the 23s, because that 23, 24, V4R, that whole package was like 6 years old, 7 years old. And this update has honestly been a major one. So let's go for a ride. I'll show you some of the settings I got. And yeah, let's have it going. Man, I gotta get up freaking earlier. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. We're already at almost 90 degrees. Ugh. Arizona summers, here we go. Alright, so I said we'd kind of talk about some of the settings that I use. Usually when I'm breaking in a bike, I like to stay in sport, mainly because it gives you just sort of that all-around feel. Now, with the base, you don't have the electronic suspension to either soften or stiffen as you change the mode. So the settings I use are primarily for the throttle response and the engine characteristics that I'm looking for. Now, I'll show you in a minute here. When you're in sport, there's a certain setting that it comes as the default, and while that setting's fine, ooh, so much gravel. Okay, that's no bueno. While the settings are fine, especially for someone that has never ridden this V4, I find it to be too sluggish. I like a little more snap in my throttle, so there's some stuff that we change in here, and it livens it up, but also keeps, I'll say, some of the safety characteristics. A lot of gravel on the road today for some reason. Oh god, that low down torque. Something you just didn't get. I didn't get with R, which I convinced myself I liked because, remember, naturally. We'll see if we can work with the sun here because it's going to be a little bright, but we're going to look at the menu. I'm going to go to settings, and we're going to go to not vehicle, advanced, riding mode setup. So in sport mode, you can see this, the lighting's kind of terrible, but power mode. So in sport, it's usually set here to medium and smooth. This is the basic setup. What I usually set it to is I go to full power and dynamic. And why I do that is because the throttle response when it's smooth and high power it's a little lacking. It's not quite as punchy as I personally like. Some people may like it because you can really just roll on the throttle and it's not going to do anything crazy. I mean, that's why sport's there. It's a little more aggressive, but nothing that's too ridiculous to someone that hasn't ridden it. But me personally, I like full power and I like dynamic. So that's me. That's the riding mode. ABS. So this is where I really like this 25 V4, is this panel right here, because you have front and rear lift, which, you know, on the streets pretty pointless. Like, I'm not going to be doing stoppies. But the one that I would like to point out here is, if you can see this again, I'm not sure, but combined braking, and that's the front and rear, as I was mentioning, coming down the hill, where it helps steer the rear of the bike and help tighten up corners, which I think on the street's really useful because it keeps you from running wide. Now, I'm not going to ever push a bike to where I'm going to run wide, at least not on purpose or by accident because I just overshot a corner or something like that. But as someone that's hopping on, this is a setting that's really great. Now, as you change and you go down in intervention, you see that it turns off as you go down to 5 and 4 and 3. Now, 3 is actually what I use for race B, because it's being used And then Track Plus I have in Race A because it's being used, but like in a different way. But for the street, I leave it in 6 because it has the corner brake. If you go down in ABS, you see that it all turns off, and I don't want that on the street. I kind of like having it on, so we go to 6. The adaptive vehicle, that's your traction control, stability control, and wheelie control. So I have mine typically set to like 3. For the street, it's still, it intervenes, and you're not going to break traction. At least I'm not. I usually don't. Slide control, honestly, on the street, I keep it at 2. Wheelie control, we turn down just a wee bit. We go to 3. And that is how I set up my street mode. And you're like, well, why not just go into race A or B? And that's because race A and B turns off the rear or the ABS, and I don't want that. And again, I like having that rear brake assist. So those are my settings for the street, what I found that I like the most because of how, you know, it intervenes with the way you ride. It gives you that flexibility of fun, but also that extra blanket of safety, especially for the street, that is just, it's just nice to have. All right, so now that we changed them and got the dynamic and full, the throttle response is just a bit more immediate, a little bit more aggressive, and I dig it. I hate when roads got sheen like that on it. Oh, the planted nature of that rear wheel when you just romp on it is intoxicating because you just want to give it more. Oh, it just comes out of corners. Wow, at least they waited for me. That was nice of them. I've never seen that before. I guess I scared them. Something I love about bigger bikes is the point and shoot nature of them. That you can brake hard and then just run out of a corner and just use that power. And this thing is not lacking in power. No sir. Massive hill. Remember, a lot of debris. Oh, the brakes are good. It's funny that I want to upgrade the Corsa Corsa, I think RCS 17 master cylinders. And I want to do that because I want a little bit more refinement and feel. That's what all these upgrades are for. It's not because anything on this is bad or like I'm so much better of a rider that I need to upgrade. I'm not, honestly. This thing's stock is far above me. But I like having the adjustability, and I like being able to really fine-tune things, and that's what these upgrades will do. And speaking of those upgrades, we're going to drop the videos on Mondays. I decided I was going to drop it today, but I'm like, no, I want to kind of keep that build series more of a Monday thing. So stay tuned for next Monday because we will drop the next install, which is of the steering damper that I have here. I can't believe I just had that full run to myself. That never happens. But anyways, there's some really quick little settings that I found that I enjoy on the V4. Now, if you have a V4S, those settings are going to mean a lot more to you because your suspension's tied to those settings, and you might find that sport and whatever might be too soft for you. And what I do enjoy is the ability to fine-tune. There is something I wish this bike had that BMW, I believe, has, and I think Kawasaki does too, and that is, or maybe even Yamaha, that is the individual rider setting. Like it says like Rider 1, Rider 2. Yes, this has sport and you can adjust it to you. Yes, in race you can do the same thing. However, those other brands actually have, you know, race sport, track, whatever, and then they have the individual one. And I think if Ducati would add that in as an option, it would be, I think, widely applauded, because having that individual stuff means you can leave all the other ones alone and dial in something that you really enjoy. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Get out and ride. It's friggin' 90 already, but we're dealing with it. But stay tuned for Monday. Got an install video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.